So vamos a comenzar because I don't want this one to take too long, and this poem is really not that long, so it shouldn't. All right, I'm going to start from the top as if this video did not start 7 minutes ago. So don't mind me, okay? Buenísimo. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sincerely Verolina channel. Hey, I am sverolina. The S stands for several things, but you may call me sovereign. S is fine too. You are now listening to the Things I Never Said poetry series. On this channel, I discuss personal development, relationship dynamics, and in this particular series, my testimony as a foster child turned emancipated minor. Yes. So, if any of those topics interest or relate to you, then feel free to take a virtual seat in the comment section below and engage with the video. During this podcast, I am going to discuss a poem that I wrote titled Playdate Pensamientos. That is Playdate Pensamientos, and pensamientos means thoughts in Spanish, in the Spanish language. Okay, so Playdate thoughts, as in thoughts in your head. Now, the poem is in my collection titled Things I Never Said, so if you would like to read along with me or to add the collection to your bookshelf, then click on the link in the description. Bueno, vamos a comenzar. Alrighty, so I hope you have had some time to gather yourself, darling. Yes, I mean to gather your poetry collection. And I think that this poem is on page 12. Let me double check. Or at least in my book, it's on page 12. If you are reading this in the Kindle format, I really don't know what page it's on. I apologize for that. However, if you're reading the physical copy, turn to page 12. I'm just going to give you a few more seconds, Do, 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 do. Well, no, I hope that was enough time. Yes, yes. Alrighty. This poem is called Playdate Pensamientos. When the girls in my neighborhood come over to play with me, they grab the dolls that look the most like them. I wonder why. Why is it that when we're approached by what is foreign to us, we flock towards what is familiar? What will we learn from that? When you are faced with change and decide not to look in its direction, what will you learn from that? If everything you ever know is exactly the way you want it to be, what will you learn from that? Playdate Pensamientos. So, bueno, I actually wrote down, okay, so actually, let me say this. If you have listened to some of the other videos, I may be switching up the structure as we go just because I have not recorded in a really long time. And so I'm still finding my flow. Those of you who have been to my channel before, you know that we're doing things a little bit differently now. Different, yes. So I actually wrote down some questions in order to help give the video some structure. I also hope that this will make it easier for the platform to assign automatic chapters to the video. I know some people like timestamps, and our society has a short attention span, it seems. So yes, if you do see automatic chapters, feel free to hop around in the video to satisfy your likes and your needs. However, I'm just going to answer some questions that I wrote down to help give more context and information about the poems as we go. And then if I have other things to say, I'll just add it to the end. I just want to preface by saying that just so you understand why the structure in this video may be different from the previous videos you've heard. Okay, so the first question that I wrote down is what moment or thing inspired the poem? I didn't write down answers, so forgive me if it takes me a while to gather my thoughts. I would say that the very thing that inspired the poem is actually mentioned in the poem. It's the girls in my neighborhood, but honestly, the kids in general. I probably had as close to like a normal childhood as possible during my short time with my foster mother and her family. And being able to play with the kids in the neighborhood was one of those precious privileges that I didn't even realize I would grow to miss, and um, that I would grow to appreciate so much. Like a lot of things, you don't appreciate it until it's taken away from you, right? So I decided to write the poem just as a way, first of all, to like dedicate it to that time in my life and to that memory. For those of you who don't know, and in case I didn't mention this before, every poem started off as a bullet point. I made a list of the most gratifying and gut wrenching moments of my upbringing, and I put them in chronological order, and then I turned every fragment or every bullet point into a full poem, and that's what you see in the collection today. And so the bullet point that I wrote down for this poem, Playdate Pensamientos, was just the positive memory of being able to play with the children in my neighborhood who I grew up with, went to school with. I attended their birthday parties and stuff as well. But I wanted to also take that small memory that I remember of them like playing with the same toys every single time and refusing to play with any of the toys that I had. Like I had so many toys. We had a lot of toys because we had a lot of kids in the house. And I just remember noticing that, but not thinking too much of it because I was probably like 5 and 6 years young. Like I didn't think about things obviously as deeply as I can now. It was just something I made a mental note of because it was different from me and I thought it was a little bit weird. But when I wrote that poem down, at the age of, I think, 17 or 18, I made the connection of how our resistance to change starts when we are young. It starts, at least I think, this is my opinion. I'm not a psychiatrist, obviously, but I believe that the tendency or the propensity to reject change, it comes from us not being exposed to very much of it as children. And I kind of just made that connection between them, the children playing with the same toys all the time, to the connection of us, or to the tendency of us younger adults and mature adults struggling to adapt to new spaces, new environments, or new things. I thought about how it starts when we're young, like a lot of things. And so I wanted to have the poem serve two purposes. I wanted it to sort of represent and highlight that positive memory in my childhood, as well as to connect it to a deeper, larger theme about how when we are afraid of change, we actually short ourselves of potentially positive experiences, as well as just learning information that is going to be, if not helpful, then at least maybe enjoyable to experience. Knowledge is power, after all, right? At least that's what people say, and honestly, I believe it. Alrighty, so yes, I hope that answers the question and gives you an idea of what the thought process was behind this poem. Now, the question, or question number 2 that I wrote down is, what message did you want to convey with this poem? Honestly, with this one, I put the message in it as plain as day, just because, just like my play dates, or just like the poem, the play date was pretty short usually. But yes, the message that I wanted to convey is that you're not going to learn that much from change. I mean, excuse me, the message that I wanted to convey is the opposite of that, actually. The message that I wanted to convey is that you will not learn that much if you are afraid of change. Part of your human existence is human evolution, right? So we are naturally born to evolve. What do our bodies do? They evolve. We start off as little babies with brittle bones, right? And look at who we become. Look at how we grow. We are meant to evolve. We are meant to change. You are absolutely allowed and possibly even encouraged to grow and to evolve into a better version of you. And if no one is encouraging you that, I just encouraged you. And I hope you encourage yourself because it's exciting, a bit scary, but exciting to see who you may grow into and how marvelous and wonderful you may become. And so the message that I wanted to convey very plainly since I was a kid, and these poems are written as they're written to sort of show the mindset that I have, or the perspective and the thoughts that, and the sentiments that I have from a young child all the way to the end of my adolescence. So again, I didn't want it to be like too complex. How complex is the thought process of a 5-year-old, right? But yes, I just wanted to encourage you to see how it starts when we're young. And by it, I mean like our resistance to change or our willingness to change. It starts with our parents and the adults around us, like in school, introducing new information and new experiences and new things like toys or shows or whatever to us, and allowing our minds to wander and allowing us to decide if we want to try something new or if we want to venture down a new path. For example, if your parents always give you the option of purple or yellow, how do you react when life one day throws blue at you? How do you know how to respond? And how do you know how to embrace life when life throws the color red at you if your parents only ever showed you purple and yellow? And I give that example because what I'm saying could apply to so many things. Small things like, toys, but also other things like your hobbies and your skills. If your parents only, or if you are a parent, or if you are a teenager and you're listening to this, think about this. If you only ever try, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like a very simple example that can fit for so many people. And it's making me lose my train of thought. So I'm gonna skip that, okay? I'm sorry. I'm just trying not to lose my train of thought. But yes, if you only ever try 1 to 2, how do you know how 3, 4, and 5 may benefit you? At what point in your upbringing and at what point in your life will you be willing to explore options 5 and 6 and 7 if you don't ever start while you're young? And like I said, it could be anything. It could be hobbies. It could be anything. If your parents say you're going to choose between chess and soccer, what if you like cooking? What if you like dancing? What if you're interested in graphic design? What if you like tech? If your parents don't give you those options as a young child, you then you then have no choice but to explore those things later on. And that's not the end of the world. It's a blessing to still have the time to try. However, as we can see through this, age of advanced technology and social media, look at the benefits that children have when they start exploring things like new languages and new hobbies and skills at a young age versus when you're like 30 or when you're 25 and you're just now starting those things. Those kids have a 20-year advantage over those of us who had to learn things later on because our parents didn't invest in our future, or our parents were too busy living vicariously through us and not thinking about our future and what we may want that to look like. I'm not saying a 5-year-old knows what she wants her future to look like. What I'm saying is that if you put 7 colors in front of a 5-year-old, then she has more of an option or more of a sense of options in life. And options are a beautiful thing. Options are such a privilege. But if you only put 1 color in front of that child, she's going to grow up thinking she doesn't have many options in life. She's going to learn very late in life that she had options all the while. And boy, does your life change when you realize that you have options. And if I will say this to you, if you feel like you don't have any options, if you ever feel like your back is up against the wall and you don't have any options, that is your sign to create them. That is when you have no choice but to create them. That's my opinion, at least. But yes, what I'm saying could apply to super deep things, or it could apply to the most minuscule things. I want you to fill in the blanks because I don't want to, drag this point out too long. It's a very short poem. So moving on to question number 3, how did writing this poem affect your healing journey? I would say that writing this poem impacted my healing journey in a positive way. I think that when I wrote this poem, I came to the realization that there are so many lessons to learn in life, and that is from both the good and the bad things that you will experience. I also realize that some lessons come wrapped in a bandage, but some lessons come wrapped in the most simplest things. And it's really just about how well you pay attention and connect the dots and see a deeper meaning in life. I have a tendency to do that very well and unintentionally. So I can make things really deep for no reason or for no real purpose. It's just that I see things deeply. So as I mean, you can probably tell because I took such a small observation and turned it into a poem about something deeper, like, being resistant to change. And I made that connection during this healing journey. I would say that um, when I wrote this poem, this one was a lot easier for me. This one flowed so easily because the part of my life when I got to be a child, or the aspects of my childhood where I got to just feel like a little kid, were so easy. It was just like breathing. Like it was just such an amazing time, something like being able to run around with the kids in the neighborhood and not be responsible for somebody else's kids and not be worried about like the rent and the bills and heating up water because we don't have electricity and all this kind of stuff, like, or we don't have like heat or something. Like, I didn't have to worry about those things when I was 5, 6, and 7 years young in this foster home, and I appreciated that. And in the writing process, I think that in this particular writing process, I was able to remind myself that there's still some good. Yes, there was so much bad riddled in my testimony and in my experiences as a foster child. However, there was a lot more good in my experiences as a child than in my experiences as a foster child than there were when I was reunited with my biological family members. Okay, so I kind of answered question number 4 with my response to question number 3. Question number 4 is, what did I learn about myself or in general during the writing process? Like I said, I kind of just answered that. I learned, in general, I would say I learned um, that some lessons come wrapped in a bandage and some lessons come wrapped in the most unexpected packages. That could be a person, that could be a moment, a thought, that could be a realization that you have. It could be so many different things. But yeah, in the writing process, I would say that I um, gained a different perspective about the things that we go through, like how basically there are things that you go through. I think there's a quote like this, so I don't want to misquote the person or make it seem like I'm saying this off the top of my head, but there is a quote like this. I just can't think of it. But yes, there are some lessons that are meant. Oh, okay. This is the quote. Oh my God, I just remembered it. The quote is, there are some poisons that blind you and some poisons that open your eyes. I have had that quote on my quote wall for so many years. And I think that when I wrote this poetry collection, I saw which poisons blinded me and which poisons opened my eyes. I think I finally started to see how all of these were lessons the universe or God would have me learn for whatever reason, and how you just have to pay attention. I think there are lessons all around us, but you have to look around you. You have to connect the dots. You have to pay attention. I'm not saying that there is a lesson in everything. What I'm saying is there could be. I'm saying there might be. You just have to look around and think about things sometimes on a deeper note. And you can do that at your leisure. I'm not telling anybody how to think or to be. I'm actually just saying what I had to tell myself, because I realized that like life will send me messages sometimes in the form of a bad experience if I don't pay attention the first couple of times that the universe tries to, give me a nudge and send me in a different direction. I have a poem called Pay Attention in my poetry collection, and it actually speaks a little bit more on that. So I will save that for later. But yes, in terms of what I learned about myself, I learned that I was adventurous and free spirited and um, inquisitive and kind and all these other things. I learned that I was like that the same way that I am now, I was that way as a kid. That is what I learned in writing this poem and remembering those play dates and just my fun experiences being a child frolicking through the streets like a crazy person. But yes, I will leave it on that note just because I didn't mean to turn such a short poem into such a long podcast episode. Normally, I would share some words of wisdom or advice at the end, but I think that I sprinkled all of that throughout this. So I hope that you enjoy it. And I hope that if there is anything that I said that resonates with you, that you will apply it to your life and maybe your thought process or something like that. My goal is, of course, just to inform and to inspire for the better. So, yes, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Things I Never Said series. And I will see you in the next one. Yes. On that note, I will say, Tata mi amores, take care. Mwah.
Gonna give you this mic back. But what I'm gonna say to the ladies that been told that you cannot have, you tell the devil you's a liar.
Okay, mic check, mic check, mic check. Mic check. Okay, mic check, sound check, mic check. I'm just trying to see what is the best elevation level para mi voz. Because, like, I'm not doing this all over again. I've done this several times, and like, who would I be? Who would I be if I did this just one more time? You know what that would make me? Resilient. And you know what I am? Resilient. Okay, I'm gonna listen to this one more time before I get started. Hold on. Alrighty, I think I've got some good news. I think que vamos a comenzar. Okay, otro mic check because I just plugged in something else. Alrighty, I elevated this once more with a couple of things because I just wanted to make sure that the audio, oh Lord, and then of course, cuando está hablando, that's when people want to start making noise. Ya ves? Ya ves? Okay, hopefully this is the last time that I have to elevate this because, like, girl, what? Okay, I'm adjusting this real quick. I think I did it. I think I got it. Oh my God. Wow. Okay, mic check otra vez. I'm just looking at my voice to see how it populates or I don't know if voices populate, how it appears on the screen. Dame un segundo, por favor. Okay, let me try this. Okay, so if I speak lowly like this, like an ASMR person, what can I say ASMR style? Or like what can I say in the ASMR voice? Okay, this came to me when I was recording before I realized that my audio was messed up. There's a rap that I wrote, and the poem that I'm going to read today actually reminds me of it. So I'll do ASMR style. I'll get you an oven, I'll slide you a pizza. Okay, I can't take that stuff seriously sometimes because it's so weird, but it's so funny at the same time. Not the people who do it. The people are fine. There's nothing wrong with you, but the whole like people talking like this, like ASMR style to help people go to sleep. It's kind of like weird tap, 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 tap. Think, 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 think. Talk, 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 talk. Like, what the hell? Like people really do this kind of thing. And like, what's wild is how they make so much money. Okay, but what I was saying, or what I was going to recite, are these following lyrics. I'll get you an oven, I'll slide you a pizza. I'm cooking up something, want a slice of a pizza, talking about. Oh, wait, no. ASMR is like slower because people are going to sleep. So it's like, I'll get you an oven, I'll slide you a pizza. Cooking up something, want a slice of a pizza, talking about. Super rich morning, no more dollar store honey. Got enough to go around for your wife, your kids, your mommy. Hey, gotta. Okay, let me just stop because this is going on for too long. Alrighty, I am done playing around with this. This has been such an interesting start to the video. I may put this at the end, like as some bloopers or as the outro, or along with the outro, I mean. Just because this is like 7 minutes of nonsense and foolishness, but it's nice. It's nice to break the ice with something like lighthearted like this. If you are listening to these videos consecutively, then I hope that you enjoyed the switch up real quick, you know? Bueno,